Sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends, how are we doing? I am in Cancun, Mexico. Actually, by the time this comes out, I might be home. And everybody's been doing videos without shirts on. I'm gonna do a robe one. I'm gonna do a robe video. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing a robe video, talking a little bit of hobby stuff.
Break to know if it's.
Don't tell us how to run our stream, boss. This is our channel, not yours.
That's fine. That's fine.
Because there's been a lot of things floating around and I've been listening to some of it and it's interesting and I want to kind of just dive into it a little bit. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, guys. I'm usually not wearing just a robe, but I am coming with almost daily sports card and collectibles content, and we throw a little twist of finance talk in there as well. Also connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad. I'm also on the old Twitter machine, firing off tweets here and there, so definitely connect with me there. Guys, we're just talking about cards. This is not that serious. It's not that damn serious. But you know what is serious? What's going on in the world today and the fact that things are tightening up. And I'm not even just talking about hobby stuff. I'm just talking about world life stuff. You know, everyone's pinching pennies a little bit more, trying to pay off debts and just trying to get their ducks in a row in case we do kind of hit some sort of major recession. And I keep hearing stuff about like investor channels are upset because they lost money and so they're talking bad about hobby stuff. Here's the reality though. I can only really speak about my channel, but I'm just calling it like it is. And I get so much flack for being too negative, and then I get flack for being too positive. It's like, pick it. It's got to be one or the other. But really, it's just me calling it the way that it is. And it can change here and there. I can be kind of like, kind of bearish just about the overall economy, but I can also be bullish about collecting certain types of cards. Both of those things can actually happen. You know, for me in particular, card prices coming down, I've just been buying more. So I know some folks kind of peg me as an investor channel in the sense that I want to buy cards that I feel are going to hold value. You know, something that I think about, and if you're new here, I've got 4 kids, I've got a wife, I've got a family. I've got a family to think about. So as much as I love my Drew Brees PC and as much as I love my cards, I mean, the reality is that if something happens to me tomorrow and I'm gone off the face of the earth, I don't want my wife to be stuck with my cardboard collection and really have nothing to show for it or very little to show for it. So not that I'm getting them right every time. I'm actually probably getting a lot of these sort of like buys wrong. I'm trying to buy things that I think have upside down the road. Look, 20 years down the road, these things might be in the negative. They might be zero, who knows? But my future is not dependent on my cardboard collection. I'll say it again. My future and my family's future is not contingent on my cardboard collection's value. So I know that people get upset about, we're always talking about the money and the values and this and that. But for me, the money and the values is important because, again, I'm planning for the fact of like, hey, look, I've got these awesome things that I can buy into, that I can collect, that I can invest in, whatever you want to call that. I think they've got upside potential. But at the same time, I'm trying to buy things that I feel have limited downside so that if for some reason my family has got to move off of them, they're able to do so stress-free. They're able to do so fairly stress-free. Now look, collectibles as a whole are not easy to move historically. Over the last couple of years, we kind of got spoiled to where you could actually buy, sell collectibles and move them fairly easily. But that's an anomaly. That's not normal in the collectibles space. If you go back, collectibles and antiques, fairly difficult to move unless we're talking about niche things. If you look at antique dealers, they're always interested in like old Coca-Cola signs because those are very easy or easier to move than a lot of other kind of niche antiques. It's not really that different in collectibles. We just had a big boom over the last couple of years where there was a lot of transactions happening. Now we're getting back to kind of like how it always was. And so the whole thing too is I hear, I'm upset because there's people in here now, there's investors or flippers, and I'm paying more as a collector. And that's fine, but here's the other part that that I'm not hearing is that there's also other collectors that have come in. Is a new collector just as bad as an investor flipper because they're upping the prices for stuff that you're used to paying less for? Because that's kind of what I'm hearing, essentially. It's basically anybody that's coming into the hobby, label them however you want. If they're pushing the price up of something, then I'm not happy. That's what I'm hearing because I'm used to paying 10 cents for a pack of bubble gum or whatever the hell. It's kind of like you've been following a band for a long time and it's a small time garage band, Nirvana, 1990, and you were all into it and you're like, man, Nirvana's so awesome. And then Nirvana bursts onto the scene, they become mainstream and all of a sudden Nirvana is sold out at Madison Square Garden and not your local bar, and you've got to pay $100 a ticket instead of $5 a ticket and commit to buying 3 $1 beers. It's kind of the same thing. Now your band has gotten big, people are interested in it, regardless of how that is, whether it's investor, collector, flipper, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's all the same. So, you also don't want to punish new collectors that are really just in because, hey, they like to collect certain players. They're like, hey, this is actually kind of cool. I'm getting into it. And then we've got the old collectors that are like, nah, I'm used to paying a lower price. Does that make sense? It just doesn't make any sense. So hopefully that analogy makes a little bit of sense. Again, I'm just sitting here in Mexico in a bathrobe. What the hell do I know? The state of the hobby is fine. But for those that are wondering, why is it so important? Why does everyone always talk about the money and the values? Let's go back in time a little bit. I'll tell my own story, but my story is not that different from a lot of people's stories. I grew up in 1986, 1987. I'm 7 years old, 8 years old, and I'm like, oh, sweet, there's cards. Oh, wait a second. There's a Beckett monthly price guide. What's that about? Oh, we've got a hot list, we've got a cold list, and we've got a price guide for all this stuff. We got the little arrows moving up and down, 5 cents to 10 cents. How exciting. So your little business mind starts working at 8 years old. That is exactly what's happening now. It's just supercharged. So for those that are upset about money and values and these things, go back in time and blame all those folks. Blame Beckett. Blame that tough stuff. Whatever. Wizard Magazine with your comics for all you comic book people. For the other collectibles people out there. We assign values to these things because we want to kind of know these are collectible and they also carry some value. These are awesome things that also carry some value. Are values everything? No, of course not. I've got a damn He-Man toy that's in the box from 1983. I bought it for like $500. People probably think I'm insane, but for me, that is a nostalgic piece. For a lot of people, it's like, that's a damn toy in a box. No, it's not a damn toy in a box. That is my entire childhood. That is the 80s right there. That is like season 1 He-Man figures. And that show, Masters of the Universe, was built to sell toys. The 80s was when everything became way more commercialized. It's the Thundercats, it's He-Man, it's G.I. Joe, it's Star Wars, it's all of that stuff. So when we look at a lot of this, we can be upset about the values and the money aspect. That's the reality of it, though. I wish that I was independently wealthy. I wish I was Nat Turner. I could just go blow money on whatever the hell, 90s inserts, whatever the bullshit 90s insert next thing that's out. I wish I was Nat Turner and had $100 billion. I don't have it. So I've got to pick and choose, and I think it's kind of silly to sit and kind of just talk about the money and the values. Well, yeah, we live in we all go to work every day. We're trying to do our best. We got families, and then we also collect cardboard. So yeah, money plays a role. It plays a role in our card budget, plays a role in putting food on the table, puts a role in everything. And again, it started way, way back. It didn't start yesterday. It started a while ago. And those same kids that were 8 years old that learned business through cards business, now a lot of it was actually getting hosed by dealers in 1988 and learning from that. And now we're 40 and we're ready. It's like, okay, let's turn these tables. But that's what it is, guys. So look, the money and the financial part of it is just as fun as all the rest of it to me and to many others like me. Now, for others, that's not what it's about, and it's not interesting. And that is okay. I'm not saying that everybody should be exactly like me. But at the same time, let's not vilify people that care about money and values and that being kind of the number one thing. Again, I think this is an awesome hobby because I can buy, sell, collect, invest, whatever the new buzzword is. You say invest and everybody absolutely like faints, I look at these things as long-term holds. I want to see what a lot of this stuff. Now, look, you can have short-term stuff, but I want to see what stuff looks like in 20 years. I want to see that. For a lot of this stuff, I think it's going to be a really fun ride. Now, do I need it to be like 10x into the moon? No, honestly, it's okay if it just holds value. If it's a store of value, fantastic. If it goes up, then great. That's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be something that you can buy into as kind of an alternative to stocks, bonds, real estate. And it's just another option. It's fun. So yeah, the money and the values part is part of the fun part. Yes, the collecting part is fun, but so is the money and the values and tracking all that and the business side of it. Again, the business side of it's not for everybody, but Let's be open-minded. Let's open our arms to all of those, whether they're in it for whatever. They're in it because they want binders full of cards, or they're in it for the values, or whatever it is. Everybody's got a place. So guys, cheers from Mexico. I think by the time this comes out, I won't be here anymore, but I'm glad that I could at least get this one out. It's been a great trip. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.